I honestly never thought I would be the kind of person who checks someone's phone. I always believed that if you truly love someone, trust should come naturally. And for almost 4 years, I trusted my boyfriend completely. His name was Ryan. We had been together since college, and to everyone around us, we were that perfect couple. We rarely fought, we traveled together, our families knew each other, and for the longest time, I genuinely believed that one day I would marry him. But apparently, you can sleep next to someone every night and still have absolutely no idea who they really are. And the worst part, Ryan wasn't the only person lying to me. My best friend was too. Her name was Emily. Emily and I had been best friends for nearly 10 years. She knew everything about me. Every breakup before Ryan, every insecurity, every fear, every secret I had never told anyone else. She was the person I called when I was crying. She was the person who helped me plan my birthday. And she was even one of the first people Ryan ever met when we started dating. In fact, I remember joking with Ryan once. I said, "If you ever hurt me, Emily would probably kill you." He laughed. Emily laughed too. Looking back now, I wish I had noticed how uncomfortable they both looked, but I didn't because I trusted them completely. Everything started changing about 6 months before I found out. At first, it was small things. Ryan suddenly became very protective of his phone. He started taking it into the bathroom. He changed his password. Whenever I walked into the room, he would quickly turn his screen off. And every time I asked what he was doing, he had a perfectly normal explanation. Work, group chat, nothing important. And because I loved him, I believed him. Then Emily started acting strange too. Sometimes I would invite her over, and she would ask if Ryan was home. I thought nothing of it. Other times, Ryan would randomly know things about Emily that I hadn't told him, like where she was going or what she was doing that weekend. Once, Ryan casually said, "Oh, Emily already tried that restaurant." I looked at him and asked, "How do you know that?" And he froze for just a second. Then he said, "You probably told me." I hadn't, but I convinced myself I was forgetting things. That's what makes betrayal so dangerous. Sometimes the people lying to you are so good at it that they make you question yourself instead. A few weeks before everything happened, Emily invited me out for dinner, but I was tired from work, so I canceled. She sounded disappointed. I remember apologizing and saying, "Maybe next weekend?" She said, "Yeah, definitely." Later that night, Ryan told me he was going to meet some coworkers for drinks. Again, I thought nothing of it. The next morning, I opened social media, and Emily had posted a photo. It was a picture of a restaurant table. Nothing unusual, but there was something in the corner of the photo, a man's hand, and on that hand was Ryan's watch. I knew that watch. I had bought it for him for our anniversary. My stomach immediately dropped, but even then, I tried to explain it away. Maybe it wasn't his hand. Maybe someone else had the same watch. Maybe I was being paranoid, so I said nothing. Days passed, and I started noticing more things. Emily and Ryan were always strangely unavailable at the same time. If Ryan said he was busy, Emily often didn't answer my messages. If Emily canceled plans, Ryan suddenly had work. It was becoming impossible to ignore. But I still didn't have proof, and I was terrified of what I might find if I went looking for it. Then came the night that changed everything. Ryan and I had spent the evening watching a movie. Everything felt normal. We laughed, we ordered food, he held my hand, he kissed me goodnight, and for one stupid moment, I remember thinking maybe I really was imagining everything. Later, Ryan fell asleep on the couch. His phone was sitting next to him, unlocked. I didn't touch it, at least not at first. Then the screen lit up. A notification appeared, and I will never forget those words. "I can't wait to see you tomorrow, Red Heart." My entire body went cold. The message was from Emily. I stared at the screen for what felt like forever. I kept hoping I had misunderstood something. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe anything. But deep down, I already knew. I picked up the phone. My hands were shaking so badly that I almost dropped it. I opened their conversation, and my whole world disappeared. There were hundreds of messages, photos, plans, private jokes, messages about me, messages about lying to me, and messages about how guilty they felt. But apparently, not guilty enough to stop. I found out they had been seeing each other for almost 6 months. 6 months, half a year. They had gone to restaurants together, They had taken trips together, they had kissed while Ryan was supposedly working late. And the worst part, they talked about me, constantly. Emily would tell Ryan things I had said to her privately, things I had trusted her with as my best friend. Then Ryan would laugh about them. There was one message that hurt more than all the others. Emily had written, "She trusts us so much, I almost feel bad." And Ryan replied, "She'll never find out." I read that sentence over and over again. She'll never find out. I wanted to scream. I wanted to wake Ryan up and throw his phone at him. I wanted to call Emily in the middle of the night, but instead, I put the phone back exactly where I found it. Then I went into the bathroom. I locked the door, and I cried without making a sound. Not because I was weak, but because at that moment, I realized something horrible. The two people I trusted most had been lying directly to my face for months, and they were confident I would never discover it. So I made a decision. I wasn't going to give them the reaction they expected. I took screenshots of everything, every message, every photo, every plan. I sent the screenshots to myself. Then I deleted the evidence from Ryan's phone. He woke up the next morning and kissed me goodbye. He looked me directly in the eyes and said, "I love you." I smiled and said, "I love you too." You have no idea how difficult that was. For the next 3 days, I acted completely normal. Ryan thought he was safe. Emily thought she was safe. I spoke to both of them. I laughed with them. I even sat across from Emily at lunch while she told me how important our friendship was to her. I almost laughed, but I stayed calm. Then something happened that I wasn't expecting. Ryan asked me if I wanted to spend Saturday night together. He wanted to take me out for dinner, and I knew exactly why. Because according to his messages, he had planned to meet Emily afterward. That was when I realized I had the perfect opportunity. I told Ryan I would love to go to dinner. Then I invited Emily. She hesitated for just 1 second, but then she agreed. Saturday night arrived. The three of us sat at the same table, Ryan, Emily, and me. The two people who had betrayed me and the person they thought was completely clueless. Ryan kept checking his phone. Emily kept avoiding eye contact with me. And honestly, for the first time in months, I wasn't nervous. I was calm, because I knew something they didn't. I knew everything. After dinner, I suggested we go back to my apartment. Ryan agreed. Emily agreed. We sat in the living room. Ryan poured drinks. Emily was scrolling through her phone. Then I stood up. I said, "Actually, before either of you leaves, there's something I want to show you." Both of them looked confused. I connected my phone to the TV, and suddenly, the first screenshot appeared. Emily's face changed immediately. Ryan froze. Nobody said anything. Then another screenshot appeared. Then another. Messages, photos, dates, their secret conversations, everything. The room was completely silent. Ryan finally stood up and said, "Wait, I can explain." I looked at him and said, "No." Then I looked at Emily. She was crying. She kept saying, "I'm sorry." And that was the moment that surprised me. I didn't feel angry anymore. I just felt empty. I asked them one question. "How long were you planning to lie to me?" Neither of them answered, because there was no good answer. Ryan started saying it was a mistake. Emily said it happened unexpectedly. But 6 months is not a mistake. A single decision might be a mistake, but 6 months of messages, 6 months of meetings, 6 months of lies, that's a choice, over and over again. I told them both to leave. Ryan begged me not to end our relationship. Emily begged me not to end our friendship. But how do you rebuild something with people who destroyed it together? I broke up with Ryan that night, and I ended my friendship with Emily. It was painful. I won't pretend it wasn't. For weeks, I felt completely alone. I questioned everything, every memory, every vacation, every time they were together. I wondered how long they had been laughing behind my back. But slowly, something changed. I started realizing that losing them wasn't the worst thing that happened to me. Trusting the wrong people was painful, but discovering the truth, that actually saved me. Because imagine if I had never found out. Imagine if I had married Ryan. Imagine if Emily had stood beside me at my wedding, smiling, pretending to be happy for me, while both of them carried that secret. Sometimes the truth destroys your life as you know it, but sometimes it destroys the lie you were living in. It has now been almost a year since that night. Ryan has tried contacting me several times. Emily has too. I don't hate them. I honestly don't. But I don't trust them. And love without trust is just fear pretending to be a relationship. So I moved on. I made new friends. I focused on myself. And for the first time in a long time, I stopped worrying about being abandoned because I realized something. Being alone is not the worst thing in the world. Being surrounded by people who secretly betray you is much worse. But I still sometimes think about that night, the night I saw that message. I can't wait to see you tomorrow, Red Heart. One notification, one sentence, and everything changed. So now I have one question for you. If you were in my position, would you have confronted them immediately, or would you have stayed quiet, collected the evidence, and exposed them the way I did?